Title: My ex-girlfriend returns after all these years. I asked, who is this? The response came back, it's me, Nina. Right away, she began explaining that she needed assistance because she and her husband had a massive argument. Hello friends. We're back with another email story for subscribers today. If you want to share your own story, send it to Lessons from Life. We've received so many great emails in the past and many of your stories are amazing. If you have a success story that could inspire others, or if you handled a difficult situation and emerged victorious, maybe even a revenge story, submit them too. A good story can really help someone make the right choice. Now, let's dive into this one. As you've seen in the title, it's time to share. Hey Lessons from Life, I've been listening for a while, and you've featured 2 of my emails. I'm glad my experiences could help others, even if it was just for entertainment. This brings me to the topic of this email. A few days ago, I was catching up on some videos I had missed because I hadn't been very active on YouTube. I heard stories about exes trying to come back into the lives of guys who weren't interested, and it prompted me to share my own story. I thought it might be worth a laugh and perhaps you'll feature it. I apologize in advance for being long-winded. Let me refresh your memory a bit. Not too long ago, I wrote about my experiences working in a mental health facility for children and how I learned some hard lessons from a coworker I dated, let's call her Tanya. Now, I remember mentioning a girl from college in 2015 who was a ballerina. We'll call her Nina. Interestingly, she reached out to me earlier this week, despite our past and after all the times I told her to leave me alone. So, back in the day, Nina and I attended the same school. I knew her through mutual friends and would see her around but never pursued anything. At the time, I was a senior and she was a sophomore, so I was hesitant. There was some flirting, but I didn't want to make a move due to the age difference. Admittedly, I probably affected her self-esteem without realizing it, and if I had been more mature, I wouldn't have acted that way. Still, it didn't compare to what she later did to me. Fast forward to late 2015. Nina and I bumped into each other at college and I casually asked her out. She looked shocked and confused but ultimately agreed to a date. During our date, she asked, I thought you didn't like me? Every time I get close, you pull away. Why the sudden interest? I explained my fears regarding our age difference back then. She seemed to understand, and we began dating regularly, then exclusively a month later. I was overjoyed. Here was this gorgeous girl, now a stunning ballerina, with the most toned body I had ever seen. I was definitely attracted to her strong legs. Things went well for a while until she began acting strangely. She started withdrawing, not texting or calling as much, and canceling last minute for rehearsals or unexpected performances. I wanted to be supportive of her dreams of becoming a professional dancer, but her excuses often seemed improbable. She would cancel a few hours before our dates or abruptly during video calls late at night. Eventually, I confronted her about these red flags. I had never been cheated on before, but her excuses didn't add up. She refused to let me meet her friends and didn't want to introduce me to mine. That was a huge warning sign. I started to suspect she was cheating with a fellow dancer she had to kiss during performances. She'd told me about this beforehand, claiming it was just part of the act. But her behavior began to change and she swore everything was fine. Our arguments about trust intensified, and one evening, while driving, she screamed at me that I never believed her. Her emotional outbursts made me uneasy, especially when she threatened self-harm on the freeway. I slammed the brakes and instinctively pulled her back into her seat to prevent her from jumping out of the moving car. I learned through my work that such statements should never be taken lightly. She became upset and accused me of playing with her feelings. I felt guilty, as if I had hurt her, and we ended up in a passionate moment that led to an unexpected encounter. Things continued in this on and off pattern until the weekend before Valentine's Day. While we were hanging out in my car near her home, I suggested that we might need some space to work through our issues. She was devastated and tried to convince me otherwise. Eventually, I told her we wouldn't break up, just take some time apart. She kicked my dashboard, which frustrated me since it was a new car. When I demanded she get out, things escalated. It turned into a scene and I wanted to defuse the situation. I finally convinced her to sit outside the car to give us both some space. I thought we were calming down, but when I tried to back out, she literally stood in front of my car, blocking me. After a while, I finally took her home. We agreed to take some time apart, and I suggested we spend Valentine's Day solo. She agreed. However, when I called her on that day, she claimed she was having dinner with her girlfriend. As she made excuses for why she couldn't come, I had a sinking feeling. Later that night, she called, revealing that her friends had made out in front of her and she had been bored the entire evening. I didn't believe her and tried to verify what happened. After some back and forth, she confessed that she had kissed a guy from the theater department who was friends with my friends. When I pressed her, she admitted they had fooled around. It was devastating to hear her say it had just happened. I ended the conversation in a heated moment, telling her she was dead to me, and after a quick Facebook search, I found out the guy was a slovenly-looking dude who worked in the theater. It shattered my confidence as I couldn't understand why she would choose him over me. After that, we didn't speak for a long time. 6 months later, while playing PS4, I received a text from an unfamiliar number. It read, "I'm getting married." I thought to myself, why do exes feel the need to share this information? When I responded, "Wrong number," I got a reply, "It's me, Nina." Surprised, I asked what? After all this time, why was she reaching out? She explained that I was a significant part of her life and felt the need to share her news. I told her I was fine and wished her luck, but suggested she reconsider marrying someone she didn't really know yet. She responded, claiming I was bitter and immature, then said she and her husband would be praying for me. I couldn't help but laugh. Over the next 2 years, I moved on and dated someone new, Tanya, who also left a mark on my life. One evening, I received a call from an unknown number. When I answered, I heard a sobbing voice, "Nina." She explained she needed help after a fight with her husband. My initial reaction was to tell her this was none of my concern, she was married now. After some pleading, I eventually caved and listened to her trivial issues. Frustrated, I told her to delete my number and deal with her own problems. I thought that was the end of it, but then last Friday, I got a Facebook notification. It was Nina messaging me again. This time, she wanted to reconnect after her divorce. I couldn't believe it, she was attempting to rekindle something after 6 years and 2 kids. I didn't buy her sob story about her abusive marriage. I reminded her of how she had treated me, and when she mentioned wanting me to fight for her, I was shocked. I told her to find someone else to mess with and to forget I ever existed. She acknowledged my request with a thumbs up emoji, and I blocked her for good. I debated sharing this story, but I thought someone might find it insightful or amusing. P.S. True, you should definitely retell your red pill moment sometime, some of us still haven't heard it. Thanks for reading and sorry for the long message. Wow, what a tale! I love these stories. It's crucial to remember, don't get involved with the crazy ones. They might be fun, but is it worth it? As we get older, we realize they're not worth the trouble. I can't believe she tried to jump out of a moving vehicle. I enjoy when these exes come crawling back, only to be shut down firmly. It's time to move on. And that's the end of this video, everyone. If you have any thoughts you'd like to share, please leave a comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like this content. Turn on notifications to stay updated on my latest posts. See you next time.